Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the structured journey every piece of software takes. From just a simple idea all the way to that powerful app you use on your phone every single day.
Okay, so let's just dive right into that. How does it happen? Well, the answer is a really structured roadmap that developers follow. It's called the Software Development Lifecycle, or for short, the SDLC. To make this feel a bit more real, let's just imagine we're building a brand new photo-sharing app together through this whole explainer. The SDLC, that's our master plan, the thing that's going to take our little app from a sketch on a napkin to a global success.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at the overall 6-step journey, and then we'll walk through each and every phase. Creating the blueprint, actually building the thing, testing it to make sure it works, and finally, launching it and helping it evolve.
So what even is this SDLC roadmap? Well, basically, it's just a step-by-step process that turns a concept, like our cool new photo sharing app, into a functional product that you can actually hold in your hand and use.
It's almost always broken down into these 6 distinct phases. You can kind of think of them as a series of gates. For our app, we have to complete all the planning before we can even think about starting the design. It just makes sure nothing important gets missed along the way.
Now, something to keep in mind is that while some companies might call the planning phase something different, like analysis or strategy, the fundamental goal of each step is pretty much universal across the industry. The label might change, but the job, it stays the same. All right, let's start with phase 1, which is arguably the most critical of all, creating the project's master blueprint. I mean, if we get this part wrong for our photo app, we could end up building features nobody wants, or even worse, an app that just plain doesn't work.
In this phase, the team pretty much becomes a group of investigators. For our app, they'd be asking all sorts of questions, like, who are our users? Are they teenagers or are they professional photographers? Because that choice, it changes everything. What's the main point of the app? Is it for quick sharing or for high-quality portfolios? Every single detail gets looked at under a microscope.
So what happens when the requirements aren't 100% clear? Let's say our stakeholders, the people funding this, can't quite agree on the photo feed layout. Well, that's where a prototype comes in. The team builds a really basic, functional model to give everyone something tangible, something they can touch and react to. It makes the abstract ideas suddenly feel very, very real. All this information, I'm talking every feature, every constraint, every goal, gets compiled into one super important document, the Software Requirements Specification, or SRS. For our app, this thing would detail everything. Photo uploads, filters, the like button, comment sections, you name it. It literally becomes the single source of truth that guides the entire project. Okay, so once that blueprint is signed, sealed, and delivered, it's time to shift gears. We move from what our photo app should do to how it's actually going to do it. We're talking about architecting the structure and then finally starting construction. Using that SRS as their guide, software architects and designers start mapping everything out. For our app, this means designing the user interface, figuring out the database structure we'll need to store millions of photos, and deciding on the security protocols to protect all that user data. They're basically creating the detailed schematics. And the final output from this whole phase is what's called a design document. You should really think of this as the detailed construction plan for our photo app. It's what gets handed over to the developers, and it tells them exactly what to build and how to build it. And this is where the real magic happens. This is the construction phase. It's where developers take those design documents and start writing the actual code, line by line, turning the abstract design for our app into a real working piece of software. So, with the first version of our photo app built, the next phase is all about trying to break it. Seriously, this is all about making sure it's stable, it's secure, and that it's ready for the real world before a single user gets their hands on it. The goal here is pretty simple, but it's absolutely critical. Find and fix every single possible issue before the product gets released. A buggy launch for our app could just destroy user trust in an instant, so this phase, it is completely non-negotiable. Now, testing isn't just one single action. It's a process with a lot of different layers. For our app, we'd start with unit testing, just checking the like button function. Then we do integration testing to see if liking a photo correctly sends a notification. And finally, system testing, the whole app to make sure all the little pieces work together perfectly. All right, we've made it to the final stages of the cycle. Our app has been planned, designed, built, and tested. Now it's time for the big show, to launch it and keep it running smoothly for all of our new users. Deployment is the moment of truth. Our photo app gets released into the production environment, which in our case means the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. It is now officially live and available for anyone in the world to download. But the work is never truly over. The second our app goes live, the maintenance phase begins. And this involves fixing any bugs that somehow slip through testing, gathering user feedback about new filters they want, and planning for the next version. And this brings us to a really key insight. The SDLC isn't a straight line that just ends. It's a circle. The feedback and the ideas that we gather during maintenance, like, say, users asking for video support in our photo app, well, that becomes the requirements for the next version, starting the entire process all over again. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In a world of constant updates, evolving technology, and changing user needs, this development lifecycle, it never truly ends. Which begs the question, is any piece of software ever really truly done?